Have you ever had a passenger describe your home in perfect detail even though you've never met them before? Have you ever felt your car steering itself to a destination you didn't choose, ignoring every attempt to change direction? What would you do if your GPS took you to your own house instead of the passenger's address, and when you arrived, the person sitting behind you had vanished without ever opening the door? And how would you explain the notification on your phone confirming that your passenger arrived home safely when the only home you stopped at was your own? My name is Daniel Cross, and I've been driving for Uber in San Francisco for 3 years. 3 years of navigating the city's impossible hills, of ferry-building tourists and Marina District bar crowds of tech workers commuting from Soma to their overpriced apartments in the Mission. I thought I understood this city, every street, every shortcut, every neighborhood's rhythm. I thought I knew my passengers too, developed an instinct for reading people in those first few seconds when they get in the car. But I understood nothing until the night I picked up a passenger named David C. from the financial district, a man who knew things about me he couldn't possibly know, who described the interior of my apartment in Richmond District with perfect accuracy, who somehow made my car drive itself to my own address despite every attempt I made to stop it, and who disappeared from my back seat without opening the door, leaving me alone with the horrifying question: if he vanished at my house, does that mean he's been there before? It was a Tuesday night in late October, around 10:30 p.m. I'd been driving since 5, catching the evening commute and then the dinner crowd heading to restaurants in North Beach and Chinatown. The shift had been solid but unremarkable. Standard San Francisco rides, decent tips, nothing memorable. I was thinking about calling it a night when I got a ping for a pickup on California Street in the financial district. The request showed David C., 498 stars, pickup in front of an office building, destination in the Sunset District near Golden Gate Park. A nice long ride across the city, probably a $30 fare. I accepted and headed over, navigating the narrow downtown streets still busy with people leaving late work shifts and heading to bars. I pulled up to the address, a tall glass office building that housed financial firms and tech startups. A man stood near the entrance looking at his phone, and when he saw my car, he walked over and got in. He was in his late 30s, maybe early 40s, wearing business casual clothes, slacks, a button-down shirt, no tie. Dark hair starting to gray at the temples, thin framed glasses, carrying a leather messenger bag. He looked like 10,000 other tech or finance workers in San Francisco. "Daniel?" he asked as he settled into the back seat. "That's me, David?" "Yes, thank you for coming." His voice was calm, professional, with no particular accent. He pulled out his phone and confirmed the destination on his screen. "Heading to the Sunset. Should be about 25 minutes. Probably closer to 30 with this traffic. But, yeah, that area." We pulled away from the curb and started navigating through downtown. David sat quietly for the first few minutes looking out the window at the city lights. Normal behavior. Lots of passengers prefer silence, especially after a long work day. But then he spoke, and something in his tone made my skin prickle. "You live in Richmond District, don't you? On Clement Street?" I glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "How did you know that?" "Lucky guess. You have that outer Richmond vibe. Plus, I noticed your registration sticker on the windshield. It has a Clement Street address." I relaxed slightly. That made sense. The registration was visible if you looked carefully. "Yeah, I'm out in the Richmond. Rent's a bit cheaper than closer to downtown. 23rd Avenue between Clement and Geary, right? The building with the green door, second floor apartment?" My hands tightened on the steering wheel. The registration showed the street, but not the specific address or building details. "How do you know that?" "I'm good with addresses, photographic memory type thing." He smiled in the mirror, but there was something wrong with it. Too calculated, like he was performing friendliness rather than feeling it. "Nice apartment, by the way. I like what you've done with the living room. That brown leather couch is comfortable, isn't it? And the vintage movie posters on the walls, classic films, good taste." Ice flooded my veins. "I've never posted pictures of my apartment online. There's no way you could know what my living room looks like." "Are you sure?" People share more than they realize these days. Social media, photo backgrounds, reflections in windows. Information is everywhere if you know how to look. I don't use social media, and I've definitely never posted anything showing my apartment interior. So I'm going to ask you again, how do you know what my living room looks like? David leaned back in his seat, still smiling that calculated smile. Does it matter how I know? The point is, I do know. I know you have a small kitchen with white cabinets and a window that looks out onto the fire escape. I know your bedroom has hardwood floors and that poster of Blade Runner above your bed. I know you keep your laundry in a hamper next to the bathroom door, and that you're usually 3 or 4 days behind on dishes. Stop the car. My voice came out shaky. Stop right now. I'm ending this ride. Get out. We're in the middle of California Street. There's nowhere to stop safely. Just keep driving, Daniel. I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to understand that I know things. Things about you. Things about where you live. I looked for a place to pull over, but we were in a bus lane with traffic flowing around us. If I stopped suddenly, I'd cause an accident. I needed to get to a safe spot, somewhere public with people around. Then I could kick this creep out and report him to Uber. The coffee shop on the corner of your block, David continued, his voice still calm and conversational. You stop there most mornings before you start your shift. Order a large black coffee and sometimes a blueberry muffin. The barista with the nose ring knows your order by heart now. Who are you? Why are you following me? I'm not following you. I'm just aware of you. Have been for a while now. You're an interesting person, Daniel. 34 years old, been driving for Uber for 3 years, living alone since your girlfriend moved out 16 months ago. You still have her coffee mug in the cabinet, the blue one with the gold rim. Can't bring yourself to throw it away. The mention of Sarah's mug hit me like a physical blow. That mug was in the back of the cabinet where no one could see it. There was absolutely no way a stranger could know about it unless they'd been inside my apartment, going through my things. I'm calling the police, I said, reaching for my phone with one hand while steering with the other. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Look at your GPS. I glanced at the screen mounted on my dashboard. The route had changed. Instead of showing the destination in the Sunset District that David had entered, it was now routing me to 2347 Clement Street, 2nd floor, my own address. And the estimated arrival time was counting down, 11 minutes. I didn't change that, I said. The app must have glitched. Did it? Try changing it back. I tapped on the screen to edit the destination. Nothing happened. The screen was frozen, locked on the route to my apartment. I tried closing the app and reopening it. Same thing. The GPS was fixed on taking me home and I couldn't change it. This is insane. Technology doesn't just do this. Doesn't it? We trust these devices so completely, let them guide us everywhere. But what if they have intentions of their own? What if they want to take us places we're not ready to go? Apps don't have intentions. Someone's hacking my phone. You're doing this somehow. Am I? I'm just sitting in your back seat, Daniel. I haven't touched your phone. Haven't interfered with your GPS. It's making its own choices, taking you home. Maybe it knows something you don't. We were heading west now, climbing up California Street toward the Presidio. My mind raced through options. I could pull over, force David out, deal with the GPS problem later. But every time I looked for a safe place to stop, traffic or circumstances prevented it, and my steering felt wrong. The wheel didn't respond quite right to my inputs, like the car was subtly resisting my control. You're going to take me home, Daniel, David said quietly. Not to my destination in the sunset, to your home, to the apartment I've been describing. And when we get there, you're going to understand something important about the nature of reality. What are you talking about? Do you believe in ghosts? In echoes of consciousness that persist after death? In moments that repeat themselves because they were traumatic enough to leave an imprint on the world? No, I don't believe in any of that supernatural bullshit. You will. Because what I'm about to show you is that some events are so significant, so violent, so wrong, that they create loops in time, places where the same scene plays out over and over, with slight variations but always ending the same way. My heart was hammering now. What event? What are you talking about? Your death, Daniel. What I'm describing is your death. Which happened or will happen or is happening right now depending on how you understand time. At your apartment, tonight, and I'm the one who was there when it occurred. You're insane. I'm not dead. I'm driving my car talking to you. Are you? Are you sure? Think about tonight. Think about your shift. Can you remember specific details? Specific passengers before me? I tried to recall the earlier rides, but they were vague, blurry. I remembered getting in my car, starting my shift, but the individual rides were indistinct, like trying to remember dreams after waking. Only this ride, this passenger, felt solid and real. That's shock, I said. Trauma response. You're freaking me out so my memory is affected. Or you're already dead, Daniel. Already killed. And what you're experiencing now is the echo, the loop, the last ride you ever gave, repeating eternally because you can't accept what happened when you got home. We were in the Richmond district now, passing familiar landmarks. The park, the corner stores, the apartment buildings I drove past every day. My street was 3 blocks away. 2 blocks. 1 block. And despite my hands on the wheel, despite my foot hovering over the brake, the car kept moving smoothly forward, guided by the GPS that was taking me exactly where David had said it would. We pulled up in front of my building. The green door David had mentioned, the second-floor windows where my apartment was. The car stopped precisely in front, put itself in park, and turned off the engine. I hadn't done any of it. The car had driven itself the last few blocks, responding to the GPS instructions rather than my inputs. We're here, David said. Home. You're home. I turned around to look at him directly, not through the mirror. Get out of my car. Right now. I can't get out, Daniel. That's not how this works. You need to go upstairs. You need to see what's waiting for you in that apartment. Then you'll understand. I'm not going anywhere except to the police station to report you. I reached for my phone to call 911, but when I looked at the screen, it showed the Uber app with a notification. Trip completed. David C. arrived safely at destination. 5 stars already given. A $20 tip added. But David was still in my back seat. I could see him when I turned around, could hear him breathing, could see his reflection in the mirror. The trip couldn't be completed if he was still in the car. Check the back seat, David said quietly. I turned fully around, looking directly at where he sat. He was there. Solid, present, real. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, the back seat was empty. When I looked directly, he was there. In the reflection, nothing. What the hell is this? My voice was barely a whisper. I told you. Echoes. Loops. Moments that repeat. You're stuck in the last few minutes before you went upstairs, Daniel. Before you encountered what was waiting in your apartment. And I'm stuck too because I was the last person you interacted with. The last ride you gave. We're both trapped in this loop, playing out the same scene over and over. No, this is a trick. Some kind of technology, projections, I don't know. Go upstairs, see for yourself. The door will be unlocked, and you'll find something in your living room. Something that explains everything. Against every instinct, I got out of the car. The street was quiet. Too quiet for San Francisco, even at this hour. No traffic sounds, no distant sirens, no voices from other apartments. Just silence and the sound of my own footsteps as I approached the green door. It was unlocked, like David said. I climbed the stairs to the second floor, my legs feeling like they belonged to someone else. My apartment door, also unlocked. I pushed it open. The living room looked exactly as I'd left it that morning. Brown leather couch, vintage movie posters, the small TV I rarely watched. But there was something new. In the center of the floor, I saw myself. My body, lying face down, a pool of blood spreading from underneath, not moving. Dead. I was looking at my own corpse, dressed in the same clothes I was currently wearing, in the same apartment I was currently standing in. No, I whispered. This isn't real. This isn't possible. I heard footsteps behind me and spun around. David stood in the doorway, but he looked different now, more substantial, more real, and there was blood on his hands. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way. You picked me up that night 3 weeks ago, October 8th. I was drunk, angry, not thinking clearly. You made a comment about the address I'd entered, said it looked like a typo, asked if I meant Sunset District instead of Richmond. I got paranoid, thought you were calling me stupid. We argued. You pulled over here to kick me out. I followed you upstairs to apologize, but the anger came back and He gestured at the body on the floor. My body. You killed me, I said, the words feeling unreal as I spoke them. I did. And then I panicked, cleaned up what I could, left through the fire escape. No one saw me. No one connected me to you. The police ruled it a robbery gone wrong when your body was found 3 days later, but I couldn't live with it. The guilt, the knowledge of what I'd done. So 2 weeks after I killed you, I drove my car off the Golden Gate Bridge, killed myself. Then what is this? What are we? We're stuck, both of us, trapped in the moment when our lives intersected, when my violence created this rupture. You keep giving me that last ride over and over. Keep coming home to find your body. Keep experiencing the shock of realizing you're dead. And I keep riding in your car, trying to warn you, trying to make you understand before it happens. But it always happens the same way. You always come upstairs. You always find yourself. I looked at my body on the floor, then at David, then at my hands, which were beginning to look transparent, like I was fading. How do we stop it? How do we break the loop? I don't know. I've been trying for weeks, or what feels like weeks in this timeless space. Every night the same ride, the same conversation, the same ending. Maybe we're in hell, maybe this is what we deserve. You for some sin I don't know about, me for taking your life. I don't deserve this. I didn't do anything wrong. Didn't you? Think harder, Daniel, about why you're here, about what you did that put you in the path of a drunk, angry passenger on October 8th, about the choices that led to this moment. I tried to remember October 8th, but it was like looking at fog. I remembered getting in my car that day, remembered starting my shift, but the details were scattered, fragmented. Had there been something different about that day? Something that made me accept a ride I should have declined? I can't remember, I admitted. That's the loop protecting itself, keeping you from understanding the full truth. But it's there, in your mind. You know why this happened. You know what you did. The apartment was fading now, the walls becoming transparent. I could see through to other apartments, other versions of this same room. In one, my body was in a different position. In another, there was no body at all. The loop was fracturing, showing all its iterations simultaneously. What happens now? I asked. What always happens? You fade back to the moment before you picked me up. You forget most of this conversation. You accept the ride request, and we do it all again, over and over, until either we figure out how to break free or until the loop finally collapses and we move on to whatever comes next. The world dissolved around me. I felt myself falling backward through time, through the drive, through the conversation, through everything. And then I was back in my car, just pulling up to the office building on California Street. A man stood near the entrance looking at his phone. The app showed David C., 498 stars, pickup for the Sunset District. I stared at the pickup request, déjà vu washing over me in waves. I'd been here before, done this before, but I couldn't quite remember what happened next. Just a vague sense of unease, a feeling that accepting this ride was a terrible idea. But it was a good fare, and I needed the money. And surely whatever vague anxiety I was feeling was just tiredness, just the stress of driving all day. I pulled up to the curb. The man walked over and got in. "Daniel?" he asked. "That's me. David?" "Yes, thank you for coming." And the conversation began again exactly as it had before. Him mentioning Richmond District, then Clement Street, then specific details about my apartment that he couldn't possibly know. My fear growing, my confusion mounting, the GPS changing to my own address, the drive home that I couldn't stop, the empty back seat in the mirror despite his solid presence when I looked directly. But this time, As we pulled up in front of my building, I noticed something different. Another car was already parked there, another Honda Accord identical to mine with me sitting in the driver's seat and David in the back, and another car in front of that one, and another. The entire block was filled with copies of my car, copies of this moment, all stacked on top of each other in time. "Do you see them?" David asked from the back seat. "All the other iterations? We've been here hundreds of times, Daniel. Maybe thousands. Each loop stacks on top of the previous one and eventually they become visible. The loop is collapsing. Soon we'll be experiencing all the iterations simultaneously. How do we stop it? By accepting what happened, by remembering the truth, by acknowledging why you were targeted that night." "I don't know why, I was just driving, just doing my job." "Were you? Think about October 8th. Think about why you were on California Street at exactly 10:30 p.m. Think about what you were really doing." And suddenly, with the force of a dam breaking, I remembered. October 8th hadn't been a normal shift. I'd been waiting for someone specific. A man I'd been hired to follow, to track, to deliver to a specific location. I wasn't just an Uber driver. I was also doing surveillance work on the side. Extra money from a private investigator who needed eyes on certain targets. David had been one of those targets. I'd accepted his ride request knowing exactly who he was, planning to take him somewhere other than his destination, planning to deliver him to people who wanted information about his company's finances, his insider knowledge about pending mergers. But he'd gotten suspicious. The argument had started, and when I pulled over to call my contact, David had followed me upstairs, discovered what I was doing, and in his drunk rage, he'd killed me before I could betray him to corporate spies. "You remember now," David said. "You weren't innocent. You were going to hurt me, ruin my life, maybe even get me killed by the people you were working for. My violence was wrong, but it wasn't unprovoked. We both made choices that led to this moment." The apartment building in front of us was vibrating now, all the stacked iterations creating interference patterns. Through the walls, I could see hundreds of versions of myself walking upstairs, finding my body, experiencing the shock of death, and hundreds of versions of David following, explaining, trying to make me understand. "So we're both guilty," I said. "Both trapped by what we did." "Yes, and maybe that's the answer. Maybe the loop breaks when we both accept responsibility, when we both acknowledge that we deserve this fate." I looked at him in the rearview mirror, or rather at the space where he should have been but wasn't. "I accept it. I was going to betray you. I was working for people who would have destroyed your life. You killed me in self-defense, more or less. And I accept that I killed you, that I took a life regardless of your intentions, that I created this loop through violence and then tried to escape it through suicide." The stacked iterations began to collapse. The hundreds of cars, the hundreds of versions of us all converging into single points. The vibration intensified until I couldn't tell what was real anymore. And then, silence. I was standing in my apartment looking at my body on the floor. But it was fading now, becoming transparent. David stood beside me, also fading. We were both ghosts, both echoes, both ready to finally dissipate. "Where do we go now?" I asked. "I don't know. Somewhere else. Somewhere we can't hurt people anymore. Somewhere the loop doesn't exist." We faded together, the apartment dissolving around us. The last thing I saw was my car, empty now, parked in front of the green door, and on the app, a notification. Trip completed. David C. arrived safely at destination. The destination had been death all along, for both of us. And we'd finally arrived. If this story made you question the rides you accept, the passengers you pick up, the moments when technology seems to have intentions of its own, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment sharing your experiences with passengers who knew too much, with GPS that took you places you didn't choose, with the growing certainty that some trips are meant to end in places we're not ready to go. Maybe you've felt trapped in loops of your own. Maybe you've experienced moments that repeat themselves because something violent or wrong left an imprint. Maybe you've wondered if the life you're living is real, or just an echo of something that already happened. You're not alone. We're all navigating a world where guilt and violence can trap us in eternal loops, where our choices have consequences that extend beyond life and death, where sometimes the scariest passenger is the one who knows exactly where you live, because they're the reason you're not living anymore.